What if the place you trusted most, a cozy diner frozen in routine, suddenly became the setting for the unimaginable? For over a decade, Lily's world at Riverside Diner was all about familiarity. The same faces, the same orders, the same comfort. But tonight, under the warm glow of its retro lights, something was brewing. Something that would turn her predictable shift into a story she'd never forget. Most nights unfolded the same way. A slow trickle of regulars, some small talk, and then the steady hum of the jukebox playing tunes from the 70s. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and Lily had grown fond of the predictable rhythm. However, tonight, that rhythm was about to be shattered. Just before closing time, the bell above the door chimed. Lily looked up, expecting one of the usual late-night stragglers. Instead, her heart skipped a beat. In walked Elon Musk. At first, she thought her tired eyes were playing tricks on her. But as he stepped further into the diner, she couldn't deny it. This was the Elon Musk, one of the world's most talked about billionaires. He wasn't flanked by a security team or a swarm of cameras. Instead, he strolled in as casually as any other customer, wearing a simple hoodie, jeans, and, to Lily's disbelief, a bright red MAGA hat. The diner went quiet. The regulars, who had been chatting and laughing moments before, turned their heads to stare. A few whispered among themselves, their expressions shifting from confusion to judgment. Lily froze, unsure of what to do. She'd seen Elon on TV, in interviews, and across social media, but seeing him here, in her little diner, felt surreal. He seemed tired but carried himself with a quiet confidence. As he approached a booth by the window, she noticed his expression. One of calm indifference, as if he hadn't just walked into a room full of people who were now silently dissecting him. Snapping out of her daze, Lily grabbed a notepad and approached his table, her nerves simmering beneath the surface. "Good evening," she said, forcing a smile. "What can I get for you tonight?" Elon looked up, the faintest hint of a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Just a coffee, black, and maybe a slice of whatever pie you recommend." "Coming right up," Lily replied, trying to keep her tone neutral. She turned and walked back to the counter, her hands trembling slightly as she poured the coffee and plated a slice of blueberry pie. The diner's atmosphere felt charged, the kind of tension that wasn't easy to ignore. As Lily returned to Elon's table, setting down his order, she noticed the regulars whispering more animatedly. One man, a retired teacher named Hank, who never missed his nightly coffee, leaned over to another customer, his voice loud enough for Lily to catch. "Can you believe he's wearing that hat in this town?" Hank said, his tone dripping with disapproval. Lily felt a pang of unease. The diner had always been a place where people kept their opinions light, avoiding politics and controversy. But tonight, the presence of Elon Musk and his MAGA hat had turned the room into a simmering pot of tension. "Thank you," Elon said as she set down his coffee. His voice was polite but distant, as if he sensed the unease around him. Lily gave him a tight-lipped smile and walked back behind the counter, where she busied herself with small tasks to avoid the growing stares and murmurs. She felt conflicted. On one hand, Elon was just a customer, and her job was to serve him like anyone else. On the other hand, she could feel the judgment radiating from the regulars, and it was making her skin crawl. As the minutes passed, the whispers grew louder. Finally, Hank stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the tiled floor. He marched over to Elon's booth, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "Excuse me," Hank said, his voice gruff. "Are you really Elon Musk?" Elon looked up from his coffee, his expression calm but curious. "Yes, that's me." Hank scoffed, shaking his head. "I gotta ask, what are you doing here? And why are you wearing that hat?" The room fell silent. All eyes were on Elon and Hank, the tension so thick it could have been cut with a knife. "I stopped here for some coffee and pie," Elon replied evenly. "As for the hat, it's just a hat." "Just a hat?" Hank repeated, his tone incredulous. "That hat represents a lot of things to a lot of people in this country. And let me tell you, most of us around here don't take kindly to it." Lily's stomach churned. She wanted to step in, to diffuse the situation, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. Elon leaned back in his seat, his gaze steady. "I'm not here to make a political statement. I wear it because I believe in the principles of free speech and being unafraid to challenge the status quo. Hank shook his head, his frustration evident. Free speech? Come on, man. You're one of the richest people in the world. What do you know about the struggles of ordinary folks? A murmur of agreement rippled through the diner. Some customers nodded, their faces hardening. Others simply watched, waiting to see how the confrontation would play out. Elon's expression didn't waver. I understand more than you think, he said calmly. But I'm not here to argue. I just wanted a quiet place to unwind. Hank opened his mouth to retort, but Lily found her voice before he could speak. All right, that's enough, she said, stepping out from behind the counter. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to stand tall. He's just a customer, Hank. Let him enjoy his coffee in peace. The room went silent again. Hank turned to Lily, his brows furrowed. You're defending him? I'm defending his right to sit here without being harassed, Lily said, her voice steady despite the heat rising in her cheeks. Hank huffed, clearly displeased, but he stepped back. Fine, he muttered, returning to his seat. Lily glanced at Elon, who gave her a small nod of gratitude. She could see the weariness in his eyes, a stark contrast to the confident persona the world usually saw. The rest of the evening passed in a tense silence. Elon finished his coffee and pie, paid his bill, and left without another word. As the bell above the door chimed, signaling his departure, Lily felt a strange mix of relief and regret. She thought that would be the end of it. But when her boss called her into the office later that night, she realized the evening's events had only just begun. Lily stood in the cramped office at the back of the diner, her boss, Mr. Jenkins, sitting across from her behind his cluttered desk. The overhead light flickered slightly, casting an uneven glow on his tired face. I don't know what got into you tonight, Lily, Mr. Jenkins said, rubbing his temples. You've worked here long enough to know we don't stir the pot with our regulars. Lily's chest tightened. I wasn't stirring the pot. I was just trying to stop Hank from picking a fight with a customer. Mr. Jenkins shook his head. Hank is one of our most loyal patrons. He's been coming here since before you started. You standing up for a guy like Musk, wearing that hat no less. It's bad optics for us. Half the regulars were grumbling on their way out tonight. Lily felt her stomach sink. So, what are you saying? I'm saying this isn't working out, Mr. Jenkins replied, his voice firm but regretful. I'll pay you through the week, but after that, I think it's best we part ways. The words hit her like a punch to the gut. The diner had been her home away from home for years. The thought of leaving, especially under these circumstances, felt unbearable. But I wasn't trying to cause trouble, Lily pleaded, her voice shaking. I know, Lily, he said with a sigh, but it doesn't matter. People are upset, and I need to keep the peace. Lily nodded numbly, fighting back tears as she left the office. By the time she locked up for the night, the diner felt colder, emptier. The thought of explaining to her mom and younger brother, who depended on her income, made her heart ache even more. The next morning, Lily awoke to a flood of messages on her phone. Confused, she opened a text from her coworker, Sarah. Sarah. OMG, Lily, check the news. Elon Musk tweeted about you. Lily blinked, her brain struggling to process the words. She quickly opened Twitter, and there it was. Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Sometimes you meet people who remind you what integrity looks like. Last night, I met someone like that in a small-town diner. Big changes coming her way. Stay tuned. The tweet had already gone viral. Thousands of comments and likes poured in, people speculating about what Elon meant and praising whoever the mystery waitress was. Her heart pounded as she scrolled through the replies. Some people were supportive, calling her brave. Others were less kind, accusing her of trying to gain attention. She barely had time to process it when her phone buzzed with another notification, a call from an unknown number. Hello, she answered hesitantly. Hi, is this Lily? A calm, professional voice asked. This is Amanda from Elon Musk's team. He'd like to invite you to a meeting in Austin to discuss an opportunity with him. Lily almost dropped the phone. Are you serious? Very serious, Amanda replied. He was very impressed by how you handled yourself last night and believes you'd be a great fit for a position with one of his organizations. Lily's mind raced. This had to be some kind of prank, right? But the tone in Amanda's voice was too genuine, too polished. I, I don't know what to say, Lily stammered. All we need is for you to say yes, Amanda said warmly. Lily hesitated for a moment, glancing around her small, cluttered apartment. The thought of leaving her comfort zone, of stepping into a world so far removed from her own, was terrifying. But the memory of being fired the night before pushed her forward. Yes, she said, her voice firm. I'll do it. 2 days later, Lily found herself standing in the lobby of a sleek, modern office building in Austin. She was nervous, clutching her purse tightly as she waited to meet Elon Musk. The surrealness of the situation hadn't worn off. She'd gone from serving pie to being flown out to Texas in the blink of an eye. When she was finally ushered into a conference room, Elon was already there, standing by a window that overlooked the city skyline. He turned as she entered, giving her that same small, knowing smile from the diner. Lily, he said, extending a hand. Thanks for coming. Thanks for inviting me, she replied, shaking his hand. He gestured for her to sit, and they talked for over an hour. Elon explained that he was looking for people who had not only integrity, but also the ability to navigate difficult situations with grace. He offered her a role with one of his philanthropic initiatives, where she'd help coordinate projects aimed at improving education and access to technology in underserved communities. It's not glamorous, Elon said, but it's important work, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Lily couldn't believe what she was hearing. The offer wasn't just a job. It was a chance to do something meaningful, something she could be proud of. I don't know what to say, she admitted, her voice thick with emotion. Just say yes, Elon said with a grin. And she did. When Lily returned to her small town a week later, the diner was buzzing with gossip about her meeting with Musk. Some of the regulars were curious, others skeptical, but most were genuinely impressed when she confirmed the story. Even Hank, who had sparked the whole confrontation, approached her one evening to apologize. I didn't mean to get you fired, he said, looking sheepish. But I guess things worked out for the best, huh? They did, Lily said, her tone kind but firm. As the weeks passed, Lily began her new role, traveling to different cities, meeting incredible people, and helping launch programs that change lives. Her world expanded in ways she never thought possible. But no matter how far she went, she never forgot the lessons she'd learned at the diner, the importance of kindness, the courage to stand up for what you believe in, and the simple power of giving someone the benefit of the doubt. And as for Elon Musk, he continued to surprise the world in ways only he could. But Lily knew she'd been part of a story that was uniquely her own, a moment where two vastly different lives collided and changed each other forever. Would you take a risk like Lily did to stand up for someone? Do you think her story is a testament to the power of standing by your principles? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. See you in the next video.